Before we jump into today's episode, I want to give a massive shout out to our amazing sponsor this season, Caroline from Huntington House Kitchen. Caroline is a multi-award winning business owner and baker and the life and soul behind her online membership, the Bake With Me Club. She helps people of all skill levels bake with confidence from the comfort of their own kitchen. She's passionate about making baking simple, fun and healthier, and her classes are hands-on, interactive and packed with tips and guidance. Right now, Caroline is sharing a fantastic free download with listeners called 5 Secrets to Make a Perfect Sponge Cake. It's full of her tried and tested simple tips so you can bake beautiful, delicious sponges every time without the stress. You can grab it at www.huntingtonhousekitchen.co.uk/5 secrets. I'll make sure to pop the link along with all the ways to find out more about Caroline and her Bake With Me Club in the show notes too. In the meantime though, let's get back to the episode that you're here for. Today, I am joined by the lovely Caroline Bailey, the founder, award-winning baker and life and soul behind Huntington House Kitchen. We have an honest conversation about pivoting in business and knowing when it might be time to change direction. Caroline shares her journey from creating wedding cakes to running online baking classes and how she navigated the challenges, decisions and emotions that came with shifting her business path. We talk about resilience, self-belief and what success really looks like, as well as the importance of community, trusting your instincts and finding joy in the work that you do. If you've ever wondered whether it's time to pivot or felt unsure about changing direction in your business, this conversation will remind you that it's okay to evolve and find a path that works better for you. But before we dive in, if you're new here, hi, I'm your host, Becky McAvoy. I'm a multi-award-winning social media marketer, international speaker, and the dreamer behind Be Heard Socials and the Boss Your Socials Club. I created this podcast to help women like you simplify your life and grow a business on your terms without the overwhelm. If you're ready for some no BS advice, practical tips, and honest chats that make social media and business feel lighter and more doable, you are in exactly the right place. Right then, let's get started with this week's episode. Hi, Caroline. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Doing really well today. Thank you.
Amazing. And I am so happy you are here as well, because we've had this in for a little while. I've known you for quite a long time. I know how wonderful you are. And I also know that this conversation is going to be really good because before we even hit record, we were chatting for about half an hour. So I'm just really looking forward to having a chat. And we are going to be talking all about pivoting in your business or making a change in your business, which is something we've both gone through actually, but you have gone through in the last sort of couple of years. I'm just really excited to chat about it.
No, thank you for having me here. Really appreciate it.
You are very, very welcome. So I suppose before we get started, do you just want to tell everybody a little bit about your story in terms of how your business came about and how you became a business owner and what you do?
So firstly, should I say, how long have you got? No. So for me, I've always loved baking. I was very, very lucky as a little girl to have a nan that was always in the kitchen with me or me in with her. And the same as my mum. So my mum used to have a catering business when we lived in a pub in my early years. And I always loved being in the kitchen. Fast forward a lot of years. My husband bought me a KitchenAid when we lived in our previous house. And the kitchen was so tiny that the KitchenAid had to stay on the side. And it just made me bake every day. And I just fell in love with it even more than I was before. We then moved to our current home, which was called Huntington House. And after being here a couple of weeks, I got the chance to take voluntary redundancy from a role in HR. And I snapped their hand off because I had a vision, basically, of filling my kitchen with people, obviously friends for a party, but also for classes. That was my vision. So it was like the universe was telling me, right, here we go. This is what we're going to do. And I actually started, so next month it'll be 8 years. 8 years, oh my goodness, that I've been doing a lot of things, I suppose, in the world of cakes and food.
Amazing. I absolutely love that. And also, and people will see if they go and follow you on your social media and on Instagram, the kitchen that you've got is absolutely beautiful. So it's such a gorgeous setting to be able to do stuff like that and do some of like the online classes and things that you do now, 8 years later. And isn't that incredible to be 8 years? You think how many small businesses don't last or, go through lots of things and, maybe give up or whatever. And I suppose I love that in terms of, we're going to be talking a little bit about pivoting and how things change. But actually, isn't the real success that 8 years later, you're still going and doing what you love?
And I am. And the funniest thing is that yesterday I shared that I've just hit 2,000 followers. Now, just for context, some people will say, well, that's nothing. However, that is, I say a lot of my followers are loyal. They're people like you that have known me for a long time. But it's the fact that out of everything I've been through, and there have been a lot of tears, there have been a lot of, light bulb moments, but at the same time, I'm so grateful that people are sticking around and have seen how I've grown. I thought I was passionate before about baking. Blinking heck, it's a different level now. But yeah, I'm very proud that I am still going after all the odds. So yeah,
absolutely. As you should be as well. And like I said, I just think it's incredible because running a business is not for the faint-hearted and it is not easy. And also 2,000 followers is absolutely not nothing. Like, my goodness, how hard it is to grow organically on Instagram or social media, just in general. It's amazing. And you've got to be really resilient, don't you? And really you've just got to have a real tenacity, I think. When anybody asks about the secret of business, I do just think some of it is just keep going. Like, just it will work out, but sometimes you just need to keep going.
Definitely. Honestly, yeah, you do need to just keep going. And it's just believing. Okay, let's see what we can do now. So yeah, so it's been a roller coaster of a business journey. We're not going to deny it, but I just love the fact that I am doing what I love. And I think the whole thing about the business is that it's bringing joy through food, primarily cake, obviously, but it's just the fact that it's just something very special about being able to eat and share what you've made. Like, I'd always go to my friends' houses and I'd always take cake. I think it was expected, but also it's just that I love it. Absolutely. I absolutely love it.
It's just wonderful. I just think we are so blessed for as hard as it is to be able to do something that we love, aren't we? Do you want to talk a little bit more about what your business looked like in the early days and then what you pivoted to today, what your big thing was? Because I know you did a lot of wedding cakes and things like that as well, didn't you?
I did. And I think that the weirdest thing is I totally underestimated what they class, the no, like and trust factor. So I set up my little business and I wanted to fill my kitchen with people coming here because you're right, it's a beautiful environment. I'm very, very lucky and it has the space. Now, I went through years, Becky, of going on different classes and I was rushed on a class or it was a massive class and I wanted to do it differently. So I had this vision and there was only one person that booked in the first 4 months and that was my old boss. And I was so appreciative that she booked, but I I'd say, lost confidence and thought, okay, I'm really good at cake making. I will go into the wedding cake industry. And I threw my heart and soul into it. And I loved it. It broke me. But I put into those wedding cakes the fact that for me, it has to taste special. Yes, it's got to look amazing, but it was always very fresh, which put extra pressure on me. Anyway, I ended up with a full diary. And I felt very, very lucky that people had booked me. But of course, we hit lockdown and it sort of, you know the story. It absolutely slammed the brakes on everything. It gave me a big wake-up call as to, okay, so you originally wanted to do classes. The weddings have stopped. And I contacted a local company and they were looking to help people, support people through these turmoil times. And I ended up talking to them on Zoom and I was explaining to them that I wanted help, believe it or not, mass producing macarons, as you do. And I then was saying to them about my classes and they said, oh, you light up when you talk about the classes. Fair play to them. They got me through a whole series of different questions and we started online classes. And I'd actually say I've not looked back. So it was a conversation, and this is how it's strange in business, that I would have never, ever said that I would go online. One, I'd say I'm not very techie, to be fair, but turns out you don't need it. I just need to be me. And I think that's what I got out of it. But the interesting thing is, though, Becky, even though I could say I shouldn't have gone into wedding cakes, what I learned by making wedding cakes, real resilience, and all the things that go wrong when you can make a cake. I now believe, now that I'm it's taken me 8 years, I've gone all round in a circle, but I love it. But 8 years, and I'm a much better teacher because of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And can I ask though, because I think it's interesting, like I know, so obviously you were saying you pivoted into online classes, and we'll speak about, and you've now got a membership as well, which is 2 years old this November, is it?
Yes, it is, yeah.
And you were saying about lockdown, but I actually first met you after lockdown. So I didn't know you until after lockdown. And I know that for a good year after meeting you, if not longer, you were still doing the wedding cakes. And so there were lots of things going around in my head when you were just talking then. But I suppose the main two were, what was it that eventually got you or made you completely stop doing wedding cakes and actually pivoting into the online class? Was there any element, and I only think this in my own sort of journey and story and the things that I've thought about in the past, that as much as you knew the wedding cakes weren't right for you for lots of reasons, that it would have felt like a failure to give them up?
Yeah. So great question. Believe it or not, it was 2023 that I stopped the wedding cakes. And a lot of that was because when people had to change their dates, I think I just kept working with them and just kept going. And I think a lot of me didn't want to stop because of the compliments I got. But it got to the point where, like, I have now a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old. And you know that you set your own business up primarily, or one of the reasons you'd set it up is so that you could have a work-life balance. I'm probably the worst boss I've ever worked for because, oh my goodness, there was never a clock on and clock off. It was just all the time. And I think for me, it was when I'd got to 2023, when we're still postponing weddings from 2020, I just realised that it wasn't necessarily bringing me all the joy that I needed, and I was missing out on my little babies growing up because it was every weekend, it was every school holiday. And I suppose it's looking at life, isn't it? Thinking, okay, so what do I want to get out of this? And I did see it for a long time as if I stop, I'm failing. But I had the online classes, I had some, but I wanted to put my heart and soul into in-person classes. And I then had 18 months of really successful in-person classes. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But I also made a difficult decision last February to stop those. So if you need, you want to book me for in-person now, I come to you. And that works so much better as a family so my home can be my home, and I then either teach my kitchen to your kitchen on Zoom and it works brilliantly, or I come out to you. And I think that people might say, oh my goodness, it took 8 years to work this out, but I'm so happy with where I am now and of all the things that I've learned along the way. So yeah, it's fascinating business.
Also that you're still here though, because lots of people could have gone, oh my goodness, I've created a job that I hated. I'm my worst boss. I don't want to do wedding cakes. So I'm just not going to do it anymore. And that's why it's really not a failure, is it? I think sometimes the only way that you can know that something isn't right for you is by doing it and realizing that it's not right for you. And I relate to so much of what you said about, being your own worst boss, because a little bit like when I stopped the social media management, I remember saying to my husband, I was like, I've literally created a job that I hate. And I actually I like what I'm doing, but at that point, I had like 6 or 7 clients, and outwardly, again, was really successful, was earning really good money, was earning more than I'd earned in my employed life, all of that stuff. But I was working because I wanted to fit around my children and see my children grow up and spend school holidays with them. I was working into all hours of the evening. I was like, no, this isn't sustainable. Actually, do you think some of it, did you have any conversations with yourself or with other people, like to sort of sound it out? Because I know I certainly did this about reevaluating what success actually looks like. For me, I had quite a lot of conversations around, right, okay, what does success actually look like to me? And for me, it was like, I make enough money to have a nice little life and not be burned out and be able to genuinely not just be there with the children, but actually be present with the children and not stressed. So did you have any of those conversations with yourself at all about success and to you and that kind of?
Yeah, I blinking loads, Becky. And I think the thing with it is that you can listen to all different advice. People have so many different opinions. And I think lots of it was I compared myself to, I would try to compare myself to massive accounts and seeing how successful everybody else is and telling myself, okay, I'm not doing very well here. They've got it right. I've not. I think the key thing for me now is that my family, like my little family, I mean, my kids and my husband at the moment, they are pushing me to continue doing what I'm doing now because they say you're good at it. Now, when you've got, your close family saying you're good at it, then it just gives you more of a fire in your belly. And I think the other thing I've stopped doing is following all of those massive accounts, not watching them and thinking I'm not that good. I'm just being me now and I'm blinking loving it. It's that comparison side of things. I don't need it to validate what I'm doing. And I think that I was really sad when I stopped the in-person classes, but it wasn't fulfilling what I needed. And I can remember telling my daughter about it. She was like, "Oh, Mum, you've got to keep going. My friends follow you." And I said, "Don't worry. I'm still going to bake. It's fine." But I love, so what I'm doing now, and I'm much more into the bake it ourselves so that it's healthier for us. I know what's gone in it, but I know it's not only benefiting me, but it's benefiting them. And actually, it's a business as well. I just think it's a perfect combination for where I am in my life, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And I think what you said there as well about so many people will want to give you advice or give you an opinion or whatever is so, like, that was something that really stuck with me, especially when I was starting Boss Your Socials Club. And I think two really key things that I learned from it was be careful about whose advice you actually ask for. But also don't ask too many people because everybody has got an opinion and then you can get stuck in your own head. And I think when I was first looking at launching Boss Your Socials Club, and because I am how I am and I was excited and I was telling people about it, and then people would almost give in a well-intentioned ways, but they'd almost give unsolicited advice that I wasn't asking for. I was just telling them about it. And I had to say to a couple of quite good friends, I don't actually want your opinion because this is how I'm doing it and this is what I'm doing. And it's not about not taking advice because, my God, the advice that I got from various different people that really helped me, it was people who were doing what I wanted to do or who had done it and who had the experience to actually help me. And I think that was really valuable for me when I was pivoting. And, people have said to me in the past how I do things quite quickly. And I think part of that is my impulsive nature, but also a lot of that is because I don't actually want lots of opinions about it. You've really got to trust yourself and back yourself and know that if it doesn't work, it isn't a failure. You've just tried it. It hasn't worked and you can try something new.
And you're so right, because I think for me, you just think, oh, she's tried this, oh, she's tried that. But actually, it's a journey, isn't it? And you have to try things. And I think for me, so to start my Bake With Me club, because I wanted a membership, I've loved being in your membership and I loved your community. There were so many more things I thought I could do. I went and got onto the NatWest Accelerator program. So September before last. And I pitched my idea and they were like, but why haven't you done it? I said, well, I've been thinking about this for the last couple of years. And they're like, but why haven't you done it? And it took a few frank conversations in these peer groups. And within the space of 8 weeks, it was launched. And it was me that had got in my own way, Becky. because I'd had an idea and thought, but there's so many others out there. Perhaps, what if it doesn't work? But I do believe in that, that saying about what if you fall, but oh my darling, what if you fly, sort of thing. And it's so true, but it's having that self-belief and going for it, and say if it doesn't work, well, I can try something else.
And I think that's what the most successful business owners do. Like, I honestly do. I think it's just trying things. And I also think there's kind of two things I think about, like you were saying, or people will be saying, oh, she's tried this and she's tried that. And there's a couple of things you said throughout this conversation where it's like, when I thought people would think this, that, and the other. I think there's like two things true in that. Firstly, most people aren't thinking that at all because they couldn't care less what we're doing. They're focused on their own problems. But also, I think 100% there are people that look at that and do that. But those thoughts are absolutely about them and comes from a place of jealousy, I think, a lot of the time. Or, like maybe envy, or, that judgment is nothing about us. It's about something they are feeling themselves. And maybe it's that they aren't brave enough to just try things and see if it works. Like you saying about your in-person classes, like they were an absolute success because just because you stopped them, you did it for 18 months and you loved it and you got that experience, you learned loads from it, and then you brought it to a close when it no longer served you. And I think that's so powerful to know when, and I suppose that kind of leads me on to the next thing I was going to ask you, to know when to call it quits on something or to move on to something else, because I think lots of people keep going out of fear of what other people might think about that. Is there, like with it taking you a while to finish your wedding cakes, obviously some of that was logistics of lockdown and delayed things and all that kind of stuff. But is there anything you've learned through all the different things you sort of tried and done and pivoted to that now helps you make those decisions quicker?
Yeah, I think some of it was fear. Well, what if I stop this? It's like the classes. It's sod's law that when I stopped my classes last February, I had so many inquiries on my website. Oh, can I just do this? So my last few classes, Becky, were sold out. Now, we had a lot of classes that weren't sold out, but I'd made a decision that it wasn't serving us as a family and the business could do something else, that it's okay. So I've made this decision. I've got to stick by it rather than dragging it out. And my husband might disagree and say, well, you dragged that decision out for quite some time, but it was the right thing to do. And I think that it's just having the confidence that this is what I'm doing now. But somebody said to me, that doesn't mean you can never do these again. And I think you might have been one of them that said, that doesn't mean you'll never do it. And it's, the last Friday, I got invited to a lady's house to do a private class, and it was a cake decorating class. So it was the one that I blinking love doing in my own kitchen. Took everything with me because, yes, I still have all the equipment, and it was amazing. And I actually felt like I was part of the party, but it's just me, the way I can go and be me. And it doesn't necessarily matter what setting. I'm not losing that other skill, but it's knowing that we can come back to it if you want to. But it made me realize I have made the right decision, and you can pick and choose then, can't you? Because I've still got that skill. But for now, I'm owning my spot and I'm loving it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I think it comes down to sometimes like the chapter of your life that you're in as well. So I sometimes think, and maybe I will, maybe I won't. But, in 5 years' time, my life is going to look very different. Like my eldest is going to be 16. My youngest is going to be 14, 15. They'll both be in high school. My life's going to look very different. And maybe I'll go back to social media management because, I'll have more time over the summer holidays. Maybe I won't because I'll be like, this is brilliant. Now I've just got a load of time to myself. But I think I was one of the people that said that to you. It's like nothing is final. And really the only people we should be making decisions for in our business is ourselves and our, the people that we love and our family and that kind of thing. So I just love all of that.
I just want to say, actually, you just reminded me. So one of the reasons why I stopped the in-person classes when I did last year is because my son was coming up to doing his GCSEs and I wanted to be there for him. I wanted to be, I spent my time working out all different recipes that I could create him. He loves his snacks, okay? So creating all of these different things that were good for his brain, that would keep him his energy level right. Now, that might sound extreme, But at that point in my life, I still had my monthly baking membership and I still had the ad hoc classes that I was doing online. But I wanted, as you say, to be present. And I'm so glad I did that, because that was, at that point last year, the most important thing. And it's ironic that now all of those things I learnt to bake for him, I'm now teaching other people. So maybe the universe knew that that's what I needed to do. Maybe.
And there was something in that, wasn't there, that kept your business going during that time? You know, like I think, and certainly with my business, I go through phases of really not making very much money, and not in like a woe is me kind of way, but just that I do go through that. But sometimes I've had some of these conversations with myself recently, if I'm completely honest. Sometimes I have to remind myself, how incredible is it that we've got this business that we can keep going and we can sustain it at whatever level when we need to be more present somewhere else, or, we can be really flexible in terms of taking a day off for things that we couldn't do in an employed life. Like I think sometimes we forget how many benefits there are to running a business that isn't about the making money. And I'm absolutely not sitting here and going, so let's all just work for free, because it's not about that. Obviously, you want to be making a profit, but it's when you see the stuff on social media about the 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure, whatever it is now, years, and the 5K months and the 10K months and all these figures being thrown around. And actually, it can't ever just be managed or measured on that, I don't think, when you've got, a young family and different things like that.
It can't. And do you know what? The one thing I'd say, Becky, is I read all of those books, the 6-figure, the 10-figure, you name it. I'm not interested anymore. That's not where my focus is. And I think I'm a much happier person because of it. And I'd love to be more financially successful, but I'm happy with where I'm at. I love the whole, place I've now found myself in, because I actually feel like we've done a lot of work in your membership over values. And I think I'm now living what I truly value. And I think that's a bit priceless, to be fair. Though I know might not be, the most popular opinion, but it's what's good for me. And I think the people around me are now benefiting from it. So yeah, I don't need all those big books anymore.
Caroline, I absolutely love that. And I think what you just said then as well about might not be the most popular opinion. I think my biggest realization is, us sitting here, and I know we have very similar life visions, values, all that kind of, we do very different businesses, obviously, with the social media and the baking, but we have a very similar approach to life. Now, that doesn't mean us sitting here having this conversation that that's the right thing that we should do, or if you've got young children that you should absolutely not do this, that, or the other. But I think it's what you said about, it's knowing your own values, isn't it? And it's knowing, a bit like we were saying earlier, your own definition of success. And it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what me and you think of Joe Blogs down the street's vision and values on life, as long as it aligns with what they want and need from life.
Yeah, I think that there was, you interviewed on one of your podcasts, Suze, and she said on some of the one bit of advice was you stay in your own lane. And I think that you could say, well, I've been on the roller coaster, but I am now in my lane, and I can still do all of the things that I love to do, but I'm doing it my way and when it suits me. The class I did going to somebody's house, Lincoln loved it. I didn't know what the setup was going to be, but I knew that I'm quite flexible, and that doesn't faze me. Whereas years ago, that would have absolutely petrified me. But I think that, coming and talking to you on this podcast, little Caroline wouldn't have done that. But it's like, no, I love the whole thing. I love the flexibility of business, but it's just knowing that you're doing it your way. And I think that's the main thing.
Absolutely. And that stay in your lane advice, which a few people have said on the podcast, actually, I just think is so invaluable. It's really hard to do, and you have to constantly sort of give your head a wobble a little bit sometimes, don't you? Because it's easy to fall out of that. But also, all progress is progress. It doesn't matter how slow you go or when it all sort of falls into place. Like, I think you can really see in you at the moment how much everything has sort of fitted together. You can see it in the content you're putting out on social media, and you can tell you're genuinely enjoying it as well. It's not just like a chore to do it. I just think that your personality is coming through, your professionalism and your expertise, and all of that stuff's coming through. But actually, you are coming through on a lot of the stuff that you're putting out there at the moment, which is a really beautiful place to be. And I also love that I can vouch for how good your classes are. So you very kindly came into Bossy Socials Club and did a online Christmas biscotti making party just to sort of celebrate the end of the year. And I obviously was there, but there was a bit of me that was like, I can't bake. Like, I am so useless. I've never successfully really created anything, but I just thought, well, I'll go and have a laugh and I'll see what happens. Oh my God, I made the best biscotti. I was so proud of myself. And it was so much fun and so simple as well. Just the way that you explained it just made it make so much more sense. So I love that you're getting to do that for people, to give people like me the confidence that actually, yes, you can do it, but also give people who have always loved baking, but maybe let that slip, a way to be able to bring it back into their life. You know, all those different things and the impact you're having on different people is also really lovely.
And you're right, though. It's just, we did have a laugh, but you could see firsthand, like, this is me. When I left my HR job, one of the girls that worked for me, she gave me this notebook and it said, baking is my superpower. My apron is my cake. And I do laugh and say, I put my apron on and I am a little superhero, but it's just, it gives me my confidence. But I like to take people through step by step. And like you've said, I can't bake, but I think anybody can. They just need, it's step by step. It needed to be simple. And, again, it might be an unpopular opinion, but so much rubbish out on the internet, Becky, that is just too complicated. It doesn't need to be like that. So, one of the things we made last year, I taught people how to we did Portuguese tarts, but it was making puff pastry. And one of the ladies said, gosh, I haven't made this since school. But it's showing people step by step, you can make these things. Like, we made croissants in January with my members. And I quite like, all the different layers that you can create with it. And food fascinates me. But all I say to my kids is, there's nothing nasty in it. I'm not saying that it's always healthy, but I don't mind any of that. It's the fact that satisfaction, you've made it yourself. And I'll just give you one other example. So my prized possession is my chocolate chunk cookies. And I did my YouTube tutorial and it went live last night. But my daughter's just been on a ski trip with school. And like, these cookies, they've got extra nutrients in because I wanted them to have a treat, but also have nutrients in their snacks. First thing she said when she got home is, Mummy, have we got any cookies? Now that's when, I'm sorry, I think, well, you've got it right, haven't you? Because she was asking for me cookies. I know she missed me, but she was also missing me cookies. But it's that sort of thing that you can do it and it's fun, it's easy. And so you say you can't bake, but you get the right recipe, you can.
Well, and also I need to think of the advice I give my own children where I'm like, you don't say I can't bake, you say I can't bake yet. I just need to learn. And if you don't mind, put the link to your cookie tutorial in the show notes for people to go and check it out. I'm very excited about trying that because I know you've got some hidden healthy ingredients to be able to get stuff into kids in there as well. But yeah, so I'll put that in the show notes if you don't mind, because if people want to go and check it out, they can do. But I'm quite excited about trying that after doing your biscotti class, because what I also liked about doing it with you, and I very much take this approach to social media, is like I like to tell people why something matters and, all that kind of stuff. And it was just little things that you said to me that are fairly obvious, but if you don't know what you don't know, but I was asking you about, does it matter if I have an exact measurement of this thing or this thing? Because I'm very much like I lash things in a recipe and see how it goes. And you saying little things to me, and I think I'm going to get this the right way round. With your dry ingredients, it's okay to go a little bit under or over, but with your wet ingredients, you need to get it right because otherwise it sort of messes the recipe. And just even knowing little things like that makes a massive difference to the outcome of how something comes out. And so I love that about what you did as well. You was explaining it all the way through and, like getting genuine, real knowledge about baking from it as well.
Well, and then that's it. And I had a private class on Saturday. It was on Zoom. I was teaching a lady how to decorate a buttercream cake. She's doing her sister's wedding cake this weekend. And she said at the end of the class, like, I wanted to make sure she knew a lot of the whys as to how things work. But I wanted to make sure, not just teach her what she booked me for, but all of the other tips I learned through doing the wedding cakes, because I have a genuine interest in the fact that I want her to get through making, wedding cake for your sister's pretty big, to be fair, but it's that sort of thing. And that's why I love the teaching, because I've learned the hard way. I taught, carrot cake last year, and for years, that was my nemesis. But I've eventually tweaked a recipe, and I think everybody should get the chance to learn. So yeah, I love it, Becky. And I think I was even more pleased that one of the ladies that did that biscotti making with us, she actually is in the food industry, isn't she? She's a very competent baker. So you think, oh my goodness, I can't teach her. But she said she enjoyed it. So I'm not preachy. I'm just me. And my passion for baking comes through.
And I think that's what was so great about it, was it wasn't like it was a load of beginners on there. I think, like a few of the people on there could bake and were quite happy baking. But like I said, you just brought that enjoyment back. And then you had people like me who had no idea what they were doing. And at one point I went to get something out of the cupboard and about 200 cocktail sticks fell on me. It was all a bit of a show, but that's how I like to do things. So yeah, it was all different skill levels, but everybody just had a really lovely time and enjoyed it. And there was time to chat whilst the biscotti was actually baking and clear up. You encouraged us all to clear up. I don't think I am that kind of person that bakes and cooks and uses everything in the kitchen and then leaves it there and goes back to it about an hour later and goes, oh God, like it's still here. But by the end of the session, I was completely cleared down and clean as well.
So yeah, and it's just good fun. It's just bringing people together, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm not saying I know all the answers. I don't, but I've learned a lot. And I think that, one of my members is my elder sister. And I've said to a lot of people, it comes to something when your elder sister pays to do something with. They say family don't support you, but blinking heck, yeah, she does. And I love it. I feel very, very privileged that my elder sister pays to bake with me. That's pretty good.
Which is so lovely as well, because yeah, it's lovely to have people supporting and valuing what you do. And it's so lovely, genuinely, like I love you as a person, Caroline, and as a human. You're such a lovely person. And it's so nice to have known you for the last sort of 4 or 5 years and seen all the journey that you've gone through and the pivoting and the changes. And I'm sure there will be more of that to come as well somewhere down the line. But the fact that you are in a place where you love what you're doing so much and you can feel like you can just fully be yourself and love what you're doing. But also, I said that, pivots might come down the road as various different things change, but you're just prioritizing doing what you love, which is just amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate your kind words.
I mean, every single one of them. I just have a couple of questions that I want to ask you that I ask everybody at the end of a podcast interview. So the first one is, what things help you show up in your business and what tips would you give someone else to do the same?
I think that it's just belief, just trust in you. And yeah, just do something that sits right with you. Don't try and be anybody else. Just do you, and it'll come together, because it's taken me, as I say, nearly 8 years to get to that. But I'm so happy now I've discovered it. I'm happy in what I'm doing, and I'm just being me.
And have you got any tips for anyone that if someone's struggling to sort of believe in themselves and have the conviction in what they want to do, to just try it or just to show up? Is there anything you do now or that you've learned over your sort of journey that helps you now really genuinely believe in yourself?
That's a great question. I think that I'm loving turning up on social media. I can't deny. And this is ironic considering how many conversations we've had, Becky, over the years when I can't do it or I don't enjoy it. In fact, sometimes I just hate it. But I think because I'm doing what I love and it all makes sense, I can see why am I doing it. And I mean, what I'm trying to say by that is that I have always thought baking it yourself was better. I'm fascinated by food. I've done lots of different courses, but it's all sort of come together, and it's not just doing it for my family, it's doing things for me, which is actually all now makes sense. So it's just aligning it all, and that's how I'm now enjoying it all. So it's trying to work it out. Sometimes it's taking a step back. the fact of those classes, it was a huge thing to stop something that was very successful, but it was the right thing to do. And it meant that I could look at enjoying other things. So it is sometimes just taking a step back, reevaluating stuff and looking at what does bring you joy. And if you can put that into your business, then I just think it's a winner.
And I really love what you've just said there about it's not just always about doing it for my family, it's about doing it for me, because partly I love that because I have known you for the last few years and I know what a huge mindset shift change that is for you, but also recognizing that actually looking after yourself and prioritizing your own joy and your own happiness is one of the best things that you can do for your family. Because if you are healthier, happier, more well-rounded, content person, that only has benefits for your family, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I think that I've always put myself at the bottom of the pile, like most mums do, but it's flipped and I'm now able to combine it all. And yeah, it's all come together. Just wish it could have been a little bit shorter. So
it's all part of the process.
It is.
Is there any advice you'd go back and give yourself in the early days of running your business? If you could go back to Caroline of 8 years ago, is there any advice you'd give?
There's two things. One is stop listening to the outside noise. And there's two quotes that are getting me through this year. One is that I want this year to be, I'll look back and say, oh my gosh, I did that, rather than I wish I had. And the other one I saw, I think yesterday, and it said, I need to do me. I'm going to say that really, really badly, but it's basically just own what you've got. And I think if I'd have believed in myself a lot earlier on, I would have had a lot smoother business journey. But I'm glad I've learned loads, Becky, and I absolutely love the fact I've stuck at it and I love what I've now created. And I think that's gold dust, to be fair.
Absolutely. And what a beautiful place to sort of bring the conversation to a close as well, I think. So you are very kindly sponsoring this season of the podcast, which is very exciting. And you have very kindly offered tips around baking the perfect sponge. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that and what people can expect from it? The link will be in the show notes to download it. And it will be in the show notes of every episode of this season to download it. And also just where people can come and find you, connect with you and find out more about you and your amazing membership as well.
Thank you. So the 5 secrets to a perfect sponge is really the foundations of what my nan and my mum taught me of how to bake a cake. And it's what I've shared on all of my classes and it just guides you through. There are tips in there of how I think I can help. And I saw John Turode on a Good Morning Breakfast or something a couple of years ago. And the tips I share is what he was saying. I was thinking, oh my goodness, that's what we do together. Anyway, it just guides you through the fundamentals. It's what got me through the wedding cakes. And I think that it'll just give you a little bit of confidence. As far as where to find me, I'm going to put my brave girl voice on and say YouTube going forward, because I might have one tutorial now, which I'm hoping people will love, but you'll see me and there's going to be many more. And I'm loving Instagram, so you'll primarily find me on there. And if you looked at Huntington House Kitchen, it'll take you through to my website and you'll see all about the baking club there. And I'd love any new members. We're a lovely bunch. So yeah, anybody is welcome.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. I love all of that. And I'm so excited you said your YouTube channel and Instagram, because I mean, Instagram lights my heart. But honestly, I'm loving what you're doing with your content at the moment. It's just been so lovely to see. And people just from that alone can learn so much. So definitely go and connect with Caroline. Just drop her a message, have a conversation with her, because she's a very lovely person. And definitely check out the YouTube channel, because like I said, I'm going to be getting on the cookie recipe that you put out this morning. I might even give making a sponge a go and see how I get on with that as well. So could be a baker by the end of the year. Who knows, Caroline? But thank you so much for your time today. Honestly, I really appreciate it. And yeah, please go and connect with Caroline.
Thank you for having me, Becky. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I am truly grateful for your time and energy today. I know you've got a million things on your plate, and the fact that you are here investing your time into something that will help yourself, your business, and your socials grow is something I am really proud of you for. Before you go though, if you love this podcast and you're a woman running a small business who wants to make social media easier and business life less lonely, I've got something for you. The Boss Your Social Socials Club is here to bring you inspiration, accountability, confidence, and community. It's a place where we burn the word should because we believe in bespoke advice that will work for you, your stage of life, and your business. As a member, you'll get a clear content plan every month, ready-to-use templates, and the accountability to actually show up. Plus, you'll have expert support and a community of incredible women who get it and who want to cheer you on and support you in your business journey. Think of it like having a teeny tiny social media marketing expert in your pocket, giving you the knowledge and the assurance when it comes to posting great, engaging content on your social media platforms and showing up in a way that grows your business without the overwhelm. Whether you're just getting started or looking to take your social media to the next level, Boss Your Socials Club has everything you need. You can join from just £14 a month or save with an annual membership. The link is in the show notes. Thank you again for being here today, and I can't wait to catch you in the next episode. Until then, take care and keep showing up.